So, hi Phil, I'm Clement here with MyPersonality. It's great to have you, and we're gonna do a quick exclusive interview from MyPersonality.
Cool. Thanks, Clement. Honored to be here.
Awesome. So, Phil, you're a player 451 from Squid Game The Challenge. How are you
Mhm.
feeling after last night's finale?
Feeling great. Obviously, I've had a lot of time to process, what happened since the show, and I truly do feel blessed to have been a part of it, and I'm feeling good. I'm feeling hopeful about the future.
Awesome. Great to hear that. So, we know you're 27 years old and you're originally from Brazil. You've moved to
hmm
Hawaii and taken up a job as a scuba instructor. So, what else can you tell us about yourself?
so I'm actually in a band.
Mm-hmm.
We just started a new band called Six Ways to Saturday, and
Mm-hmm.
actually today we're putting out a new single called Fantasy.
Oh, how cool is that? So great to be talking to you on the lunch day.
Yeah, thanks.
And what other hobbies and interests do you have to fill up your free time with besides scuba diving?
So I'm actually a professional quad ball player.
Mm-hmm.
Quad ball is a new sport. It's kind of like a cross between rugby, dodgeball, and handball.
Right.
And I play in three different leagues. I play for New York Slice is the
Mm-hmm.
name of my team in the United States quad ball. And I also play in the Pro League, Major League Quad Ball. I play for the New York Titans. And I've also been captain of the Brazilian
Mm-hmm.
national team.
Oh wow, quite impressive.
Yeah. We
Mm-hmm.
just won a gold medal last summer
Oh
at
nice.
Pan American. Yeah.
That's great to hear. And talking about Squid Game, had you seen the original Squid Game series before you found out about the casting?
No, so I actually didn't watch the original show until
Mm-hmm.
after I got casted, and I
Oh
didn't get
wow.
casted until 3 days before I flew out. So I really had no idea what I was getting into.
Oh, that's super cool. And how did you come across the ad for the casting?
I just saw an ad online. I mean, I've been following some casting pages for a while. I've done some background work. Like I was a CSU technician number
Mm-hmm.
two on an episode of Hawaii Five O, and that was kind of my claim to fame before all this. So I had been following some casting pages, and I was interested in it. I applied to some reality shows
Mm-hmm.
before, but like hadn't really heard back. And then I saw this one, and I was like, what'd be funny
Yeah.
if we just kind of sent it and see what happened.
That's
And
super
look at me
cool.
now.
All right, here we are.
Yeah.
And did you do anything in order to prepare for the physical and mental challenges before going into the show?
Nothing too specific, but I feel like I've been kind of preparing my whole life. Like moving around so
Mm-hmm.
much kind of forced me to be able to practice making friends and creating communities and creating really deep and meaningful connections with people. So I think that really helped me out a lot during the game.
And talking about the games in the show, so which game was the most challenging for you psychologically?
Oh, I honestly got to say, red light, green light was probably
Mm-hmm.
the worst. I mean, that was the most mentally and physically challenging thing I've probably ever done in my entire life. I mean, it took so long. It was so cold, like the whole
Mm-hmm.
time we were there. And by the end of it, like getting through that, I knew that if I could get through that, I could get through anything.
Absolutely, yeah. We heard about it being cold in the room, and we as the viewers had no idea how long it took you guys. But yeah, I'm glad you made it. All
Yeah,
right.
me too. Yeah, I mean, it looks like we were playing it for like 10 or 30 minutes, but in fact, we were playing it for like
Mm-hmm.
6 or 7 hours, and we had to hold those positions for like 15 to 30 minutes at a time. So it was really intense.
That sounds like a lot, yeah. And what was the
Yeah.
hardest decision you had to make during the competition?
The toughest decision I had to make was definitely
Mm-hmm.
choosing Hallie to put the box on her desk during Circle of Trust. That really broke my heart. That was a decision that I didn't want to make, but I knew that I kind of had to in the moment.
Yeah.
And it sucks because at that point in the game, we've grown so close to each
Mm-hmm.
other. We really get to hear each other's stories, and at that point, like I don't think anyone deserved the money more than anyone else, and so to have to like directly take somebody
Mm-hmm.
out like that was really tough.
Yeah, but everyone had to look out for themselves, and you had to do the same. So it checks
Yeah.
out. Mm-hmm. And can you bring us to a moment from the show that was particularly emotional for you?
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, I made a wealth of friendships and
Mm-hmm.
really beautiful relationships with people in the dorms. But specifically, I became very close to Jackie, player
Mm-hmm.
393. And I saw her go down on Glass Bridge. And that was
Mm-hmm.
really probably one of the toughest moments of the entire show because that kind of broke me. Because up until that point, we were kind of each other's rock,
Mm-hmm.
like we always, no matter what, we always had each other. We were each other's like go-to person.
Mm-hmm.
And so to lose that felt like I lost like a part of myself, and it really made it a lot more difficult to go on.
Yeah, and you didn't even get a chance to say goodbye to them. They just fell through that bridge, and that was it.
Yeah, that was the worst part. Yeah, what didn't
Mm-hmm.
even get to say goodbye.
And let's talk a bit about the final game. So, in the final episode, you said you had no strategy, right? But were you playing it just by luck, or did you employ any strategy that we didn't really get to see in the final cut?
I didn't know that there was strategy to rock, paper, scissors. I really thought we were both just kind of winging it, but she whooped my butt, like for
Yeah.
real. Like she really earned that victory because you can't really tell in the show, but we played, I think, 33 rounds of rock,
Wow.
paper, scissors, and she won most of them. And there were 40 something keys in the chest or whatever, and we went through most of the keys. And it's tough because the key that she picked, I had seen in there, and I was like, it's probably not that one. So definitely have been thinking about that moment every single day for the last 10 months, but that's okay.
That's gonna hurt you
But yeah,
forever.
no, she really earned that one.
And how did you feel when you heard her unlock the safe?
Yeah, I mean, in that moment, it was like, disappointment for sure. But I think that there was also a big sense of relief because it's like, it's over. It's finally over. I get to go home. I get to sleep in my own bed, eat delicious food. And so in a way, it was almost a relief.
Yeah, what was the first thing you did after leaving the show?
Well, I flew directly back to Hawaii, and my partner Mac was actually waiting for me because we had booked a trip for them before I even was casted for the show, and then we still kept their trip because I was like, you know what? I'm probably going to get out in the first game. Like, I'm not going to be there that long. And so they were actually waiting in my apartment for weeks, waiting for me to come home. And to also have to tell them, like, hey, I was so close, but I didn't quite make it. It was really funny, but it was really nice. We got to kind of decompress a little bit and then enjoy each other's company, which was, I think, really necessary.
Yeah, I wonder who it was more difficult for you or for them.
Yeah, I think it was equally difficult for both of us, not knowing what was going on.
And the filming happened back in January, I'm guessing for 4 weeks until February. So was it hard keeping a secret how the show played out for another 9-10 months after filming?
It really was. So I did something bad. I kind of ran my mouth as soon as I found out that I was cast for the show because I didn't think that it was going to be that big of a deal. Like I didn't think that I was going to make it that far. And so then when I did make it that far and I flew back, people were like, "Oh, so like how'd Squid Game go?" I'd be like, "Oh, no, I wasn't on that. It was something else."
It wasn't me.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny. And are you still in touch with other players? And who did you become closest to besides obviously Sam and Jackie that you mentioned?
Yes, yeah. So we actually had we called it the Breakfast Club, and it was me, it was Jackie, Rachel, Alex, Scott, and Tabitha. We were kind of like a little clique for a while, and it was really nice because it didn't really feel like an alliance. Like it really felt like a genuine friendship and genuine care that we had for each other, and we didn't really have to force that, which I think really helped us out, like emotionally. Getting through everything because we always knew that we had like kind of a little family in there. And however, it did make it very tough to then watch them, one by one get picked off. So that was really tough. But at the end of the day, we still had each other, and it was me and Jackie together in the end. And actually even Sam kind of became an honorary member too, which was really nice.
That's super sweet. And what did you learn about yourself through this experience?
I mean, I learned that I'm a lot more resilient than I thought I was. And it really taught me that, having so much time to just think about the money and think about what it would mean, sort of thinking like what I would do with it, how I would follow my passions with it. It sort of made me realize like I don't really need it to follow my passions. And so that's why the first thing I did when I came out was, get the band back together and start making music again, because that's always been my passion. And so now I know that I don't necessarily need that in order to continue with it and sort of bring that love and share my love through music with the world. And so I'm really proud that we've been working on that.
That's super sweet. And were there any misconceptions about what we saw on the show that you'd like to clarify?
I think just across the board, I think people don't understand quite how long it took to shoot because we were there for weeks and weeks and weeks. And it does, they make it look like it was just over a few days. And a lot of people are saying like, oh, well, why are you crying? Like, why do you care so much about this person? You barely know them. You've only known each other a week. But it's like, it's a week of like 24 hours, no outside time, no outside distractions, only talking to each other and hearing each other's stories. So you really do form a deep emotional bond with these people very quickly, especially going through so much hardship together. And so, I mean, personally, I feel like I've made friendships that are going to last a lifetime, and I'm really happy about that.
Yeah, it looks quite different from the viewer's perspective, but for you, that was 4 weeks of your life, so it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And is there something you haven't shared publicly about your experience in the show that you can reveal to us now?
Yeah, actually, so something that got cut was Mai actually stuck her neck out for me twice. She not only offered to take my jump on Glass Bridge, but she also offered to roll my dice for me.
Oh wow.
And that was those were moments that really stuck out with me because it really showed me how much she cared about me and how she really was willing to throw it all away just to like help me out. And I mean, I didn't accept, of course, because I wanted to try to be fair, but that really made me trust her a lot more, and it really sort of deepened our connection with each other.
Yeah, that's something that we obviously didn't get to see, but it now makes us realize that the final game was that much harder for you because you were competing against someone that was willing to step up for you.
Yeah, it was really tough, but at the same time, like it was also kind of nice because at the end of the day, no matter who won, I would be happy with that person winning, you know.
Yeah.
And then that was a really, really special moment that we shared together, and I'm really glad I got to share it with her.
Okay, and let's dig a bit into your personality. So we published a piece on the key Squid Game, the challenge contestants on my personality, and we aim to get everyone's personality type based on what we saw in the show. So did we get your personality type right? We believe your personality type is INFJ. Did we nail that?
Yes and no. I think that's like, I guess, generally accurate, but I have kind of a tough time categorizing myself because like the way I see like personality types, and I mean, I did learn about that kind of stuff in school, but the way I sort of see personality types is it really is a spectrum, you know, and it's it's not only on the spectrum, but it's also situational. It depends on who you're around. It depends on what the situation is. So I think it's tough to really like narrow down someone's entire being in 4 letters. But I guess generally, yeah, I mean, I'm an, you know, introverted extrovert for sure. I definitely, you know, get a lot of energy from being with people. And sort of making connections like that, even though I might not be the first to speak up in a new situation. But it's definitely, I think, the thing that's carried me through the most through this entire show.
Awesome. And yeah, would you say that you were making decisions based more on logic or based on intuition and what you were feeling was right in that moment?
You know, I think it was a little of both. I mean, fortunately, I didn't really get put in too many positions where I had to make, you know, an impossible and potentially negative choice. But I think that a lot of the people that were just a little bit too eager, I think were some of the ones to get out first. And so my kind of thing, it was, and again, like it wasn't really a strategy. It's just like the way that I am, you know, just kind of like laid back, you know, let's kind of see what happens. Let's go with the flow. And I mean, that's what ended up carrying me so far. But definitely, you know, always observing, always watching, always listening, you know, seeing what's going on. But yeah, I mean, that's just my nature. You know, that wasn't like a specific strategy or anything.
And as an introverted extrovert, how did you handle these intense social challenges during the whole filming and later the publicity you received after the show?
Yeah, I mean, it was tough, but I feel really blessed because I was kind of going into it thinking that it would be like a classic like reality show where you have like your really mean people, really dramatic people. And I was a little bit worried about that. But honestly, across the board, everyone was really genuine and kind. And I really didn't expect that. And so that made it a lot easier to form these deep and meaningful relationships. And, you know, on the other hand, that also made it hurt a lot more to, you know, lose them in the eliminations. But I think that definitely, there was a sense of camaraderie in the dorm that I think was really unique because we all were going through the same thing. And it almost, even though we were directly competing against each other, it never really felt like that. It was more like us versus the game.
Okay, and to wrap up, what message would you like to share with the readers of My Personality who are also big fans of the show?
I think honestly, just, you know, be kind, be courteous, be respectful. And I think that's going to carry you so far. You know, I feel like the game is almost a representation of our society and how it sort of pits us against each other, right? You know, like late stage capitalism, like it sort of pits everybody against each other. Everybody's scrambling to make ends meet and sort of competing against each other. But I think the game really showed the true nature of humanity, which is that, you know, if given the opportunity, we are willing to work together. We are willing to make it fair. And so just, you know, have a little bit more faith in humanity, have a little bit more faith in your community and each other. And also check out my band, 6 Ways to Saturday. We're dropping a new song today called Fantasy.
Absolutely. We're going to plug you in. Thank you so much, Phill.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate your time.